Hello there, my name is David Thompson from the Fraser Valley in British Columbia, and I want to share with you about my new book on the afterlife, which is titled Afterlife Incredible Irrefutable. So I want to bring that up on here because I've recently put a new cover up on the book. The book has been out for about, I would say maybe just under a month. Um, but the cover I have now that I've put up is a lot nicer cover. And I have also updated the description in it. So I want to show you the cover. And nothing's prepared here. I'm just speaking from my heart. It's late at night, till 10:42 in the evening right now. But I thought I would just go ahead and do this and introduce this book to many of you for the first time. So I'll just show you the cover of the book here first. Here we have the cover of the book, and this cover here is the cover for the Kindle ebook, and it's also in paperback with the same cover and also in hardback cover with the same cover. And it's titled Afterlife Incredible Irrefutable. There is a lot of irrefutable evidence in this book. It is very incredible. It is the kind of book that once you start reading it, you're probably going to find it hard to stop reading it. The evidence is very empirical on life after death. There are many examples of people that have been highly confirmed by medical equipment and doctors to be dead. For some, like Dean Braxton, almost 2 hours. Of course, the longest one I know of is not in my book, but probably will be added in the revisions to come. And he was dead for 7 days, and I heard him share in person his testimony in a particular church that I was attending recently. So when you have people highly confirmed as dead by medical equipment and doctors describing in detail what the doctors were saying and what they were doing while they were dead and trying to bring them back to life and so on, and what other people were doing in the room next to them and their relatives just down the road, etc. Well, that's very empirical evidence when this type of evidence repeats itself over and over again. In this book, it says, exposing deception that confirms heaven. And this, I do go into exposing a lot of things in a very integral scientific way. In fact, I go into great depth and understanding to divine truth itself and on the most integrous principles that should be in drawing conclusions on these various things that are in this book that people have experienced and how all of that fits together. But it does involve exposing the deception that comes into some people on their experience and how they interpret their experience when they come back into this fallen world that is filled with so much deception. So in this new cover, I have 5 statements on here that are really good and will draw people into the book far better than in the other book cover that I had. And it's accounts of the afterlife from all backgrounds. And I certainly do cover accounts from many backgrounds, and some of them in great detail. A good number, well, most of them by far. And one of the features in my book that really stands out If you get the Kindle edition, you will find many links to specific locations in the YouTube video where they are talking about the very thing that I am pointing out. And then I, in many cases, point out, not in all, of course, there's many cases where it's not the case, I point out contradictions, and I, in a very polite way, use a deductive method to draw the only most reasonable conclusion. Of course, all of this is in my own writing on these descriptions that people experienced. The answers in this book are far more thorough, with far greater understanding that unites all of these experiences as being very obvious as to how they all are explained, which I know cannot be explained in any other way, as to why people would experience such different experiences and what's going on here. Why is all of this going on? There are a lot of people that fall into real deception because they hear that this person experienced this and that someone else experienced that. Well, this book exposes the deception and shows the proper girdle of truth or web of truth that binds everything together with proper beauty of understanding. And so there's thorough answers to the hardest questions. For example, I say here, are there temporary realms of paradise? Yes, there are temporary realms of paradise, or limited realms of paradise that some experience. And I point out why that must be the case. There's prophetic NDEs, and NDEs stand, by the way, for the word near-death experiences. There's prophetic NDEs in this book. One by a Christian, one by an Orthodox Jew, another by a Baha'i, and another by a New Ager. These are all very interesting accounts of what they experienced in the afterlife that are written in detail with many links, and that give a proper answer to what they say they saw of the future and how that all fits together with what really is the truth in that regards. So those are 4 chapters that involve that. And I say here, Christians saw other planets with life. Well, there is 2 Christians that do mention other planets, but there's one in particular that mentions that he saw other civilizations far superior to the civilization on Earth on other planets, and he asked the Lord what about all of this. And so that's all mentioned in here as well. And then I am very effective with very thorough answers on reincarnation, because reincarnation, many people believe, oh, you're going to be an animal in the next life and all of these things. And no, that's not what people experience in heaven. Reincarnation, yes, there's certain people that claim they either experience some kind of similar thing to reincarnation. I won't go into detail, but I give very good answers to the hardest questions on reincarnation that you'll find very interesting as well. So those are some of the things in the book. The last 2 chapters are different as well. That's chapter 19 and 20. Chapter 19 has some amazing YouTube videos in it, but it's, again, secondary evidence on the afterlife, for example, of some savage headhunting tribes with no people or Christian civilization that's ever been near them, who came to know Jesus Christ without anyone telling them about Jesus Christ. In one case. That is actually a tribe on a particular large island near Indonesia, but the other one is some tribes in northern India. An amazing account. And then there's another third video in there, just so amazing, because it's taken live where you actually see the event unfolding before you. These two very committed Christians were praying, and God gave them a vision that they were going to meet a particular man in a particular place. And so they go there, and this is all being shown on the video. And sure enough, they run into this man, which is very high up in a religion that is totally far from Christianity, way diametrically opposed in its belief system to Christianity, way up in a high position. In fact, the people around him, if they would found out that these two men that were talking to him were Christian, might have stoned him. But anyhow, this man says, I saw you two people in a dream. And he takes them away in his motorbike, and I guess they're following in another motorbike, to a location, and they start talking, and they share with him about Jesus Christ. And he receives Christ into his life right on the video. It is an amazing scene. So those are some of the things that there are links to and that are written about in this very interesting book, which in print form is right now 368 pages. Okay, now I do want to mention to you that I do have other books, so I want to just show you those other books right here now that I have. Now, I don't know how the print will show up on this video camera here. It may not show up, may not pick up all the colors, but if I have the chroma key thing on, it might not pick up the color green because the headlines are in green. I forgot if I turned that thing off. But anyhow, this book is titled God, Headship, and Body Invasion. And really I do have a different cover up there, it's a little bit different looking. It's up there right now. And it is revised from this one with more. This one has 250 pages in it. The other one would probably have even more, but it's in depth on everything that one can do in a local assembly in order to not limit the fullness of the headship of Christ from inhabiting that local assembly. I mean, I go into even suggesting the best time just to have meetings as being maybe at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon so people can properly prepare for the meeting and have a long service for about 4 hours instead of these short services that you might have in the morning and in the evening. Far better to have a long service and really break through. But there's many, many detailed suggestions in there, and it also goes into depth on the 7 ones of Ephesians, into depth on tongues, into depth on many other areas that are important for the unity of the body of Christ. It's a tremendous book. I will show you that it's in outline format, but it's got in-depth outline format. It's, some of the pages are like that, and then they go into really small or in smaller print. You can go down to sometimes really sub-paragraphs that are really small. There's lots of really small paragraphs in here. But anyhow, that's just to give you an idea of what format is like. So there's that book. And that is a very important book for this hour. I wrote that before any other book because of the urgency of the hour we're in. And because there's no time for the church to be asleep in an hour of such great crisis in the world that is taking place right now. And I need not go into that. Then I have another smaller book on Amazon, and none of these have been advertised, called Evolution, Delusion, Solution. This is a super abridged edition because I have a far more in-depth, already written stuff on there that will eventually be a book. And again, this one was done in outline format because it's useful for helping people, showing the facts. And of course, as a Kindle book, it's really good. And of course, if you can't afford to even buy a little book like that, you can always go to my website at Ultimate Meaning. That's ultimatemeaning.com, where you will see a free flip book there that's similar to that book with a lot of YouTube links that are live. And of course, I have the other website, which I should show you right now, so I'll have to minimize again. I'm going to go to my other website right now. And I'm just going to show you this. I have another website titled loverealized.com, where you can also get my podcasts. And so I want to find a little link. I do have it up here, but sometimes when I have so many tabs open, I won't find it immediately, but it is probably up here somewhere if I can just spot the tab, but it's just as fast for me. Oh, there's one right here. Okay, I was going to type it in. Okay, right now it's at worship songs here, and I have probably well over 100 worship songs here that you can use on an overhead projector. This one I put the words in it myself because I couldn't find one with a good background and words to go with it, so it could be used in a church. If you don't have songs, you can connect to the internet and play this YouTube video through your projector, right? But I'm very fussy with music that has to be in depth, with real depth and meaning in the words and beautiful sounding songs. And, there's so many awesomely beautiful songs here. I'm tempted to play one for you right now. But I want to show you on my website where I have the books here that you can go to. If you don't want to go through Amazon, it's not going to make any difference. I'm not making profit on the links here. That's the old cover of this book. It'll open up a new tab and it'll take you right to the book where you can purchase it. This is in Amazon.com. The American one for $5.95 is a Kindle book, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to show you that as well. And now I guess I'll have to, since I make it so it pops out into its own, try to find my website. Here it is, loverealized.com. Okay, so there's all those beautiful worship songs, and you can also get the book on there. And I have my daily audio podcasts. They're not every day, but they're down here. The most recent one was The Treasure of Oneness. So I preach 3 to 6 times a week, and so you can, and that's done by the casting of lot with great reverence before God. It works every time with 2 independent applications. I get 2 chapters that always bear witness with each other with a common theme and message. Consistently that happens. The only time it doesn't happen is if I'm a bit presumptuous and irreverent in praying over the applications. That has happened the odd time, or there's been some other reason where I've been insensitive to the Lord. But that's rare. And so it's good that you know about that, so you can also support me here. I'm not a nonprofit, but whatever, right now I need resources. I don't want to go into a lot, but I am in a lot of debt right now because of some bad decisions I made using my credit card to do things with business on the internet over time. I should be receiving $93,000 from an inheritance that is rightfully mine, and I could go to court to get it, but it's probably a bit too late to do that. I'm trusting God that the inheritance from my mom that's rightly due me, that the others in my family received, and I should have received because I was the one that did all the looking after Mom for 21 months, getting up at 2 and 4 in the morning in a rancher, and then was the one always visiting her in the care home twice at least, 2 or 3 times a week. The others were too far away to do that, and yet it's a long story. So I am trusting God that I'll be freed of that, and appreciate your support and helping me with purchasing my books on Amazon and any other way you feel led to do it. So God bless you all. Appreciate your help, and thank you. Oh, I do want to show you. I did already show you those books, so that's fine. So I'm just going to close now and say, thank you, and appreciate being able to share the good news with you. And I even have a pamphlet on what's in the flip book on Amazon. This is the pamphlet with all the red print. You got red print in that book also that are links. Anyhow, that's everything. Thank you.